taking three.
Going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your two?
Yeah. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course. And today I've got a replay in my Fubuki. You'll also notice that I'm divisioned up today with Garrett, and he is in a, I believe it's a Russian destroyer, and then I've got Dor, who is in a North Carolina. So we are on Two Brothers, and we're sort of, just taking a look again at the beginning stages here. We have decided in TeamSpeak that, yeah, we were going to be going towards the west side. Not necessarily the best side for a destroyer, but, well, not to say that the east side is better. It's just, they're both more or less equal in terms of for a destroyer. You've got good cover in terms of the islands around, and, good chance of meeting the enemy ships as well, especially on the west side. The enemy ships always do seem to come to the west. This just seems to be the place to go on this map. Now, you'll notice as well, I did just take a look at Garrett there. Garrett has actually reached rank 1 in ranked battle, so congratulations to him, obviously. I'm still stuck at rank 6 right now, trying to get there. Speaking to Garrett, though, he was saying that once he got to rank 5, it was a lot easier, and the reason for it is that you play mostly with the same people over and over again, so you start to learn their strategies and their little quirks and how they play as ships, and then start exploiting them. He said it made it just a little easier, but he definitely said the grind to rank 5 is the worst. That's what he said. But anyway, I really want to get to rank 1 for that extra camo, that awesome camo that you get, Jolly Roger flag and all those extra flags and money as well. Anyway, getting back into the battle here as well, you can see that for the most part, I mean, I don't really have too much to be concerned about in terms of being seen and enemy ships. So right now, I'm just lining up torpedoes on any enemy ships that are within my range, and then I feel that I might be able to hit with an actual torpedo. So I launched 2 shots off at the Admiral Hipper there in the background. This guy, I wanted to get this guy sunk so bad. It never actually worked out for me, but whatever. He was the first person I saw within the range, so I shot my torpedoes off at him. Then there was another enemy ship in behind him, so I shot those, the third salvo, I should say, off at that enemy in the background. So once the torpedoes are gone, obviously circling away, getting out of here. I've got a bit of a reload on the Fubuki here as well, so can't really stick around, fight it out too much. On the Fubuki as well, my captain is not fully trained for the Fubuki. This is because my Fubuki captain is actually now on the Kagero, and then I had to move up my captains, right? So he's still retraining, and that also is why I'm playing the Fubuki in this match as well, as I just wanted to get him retrained, and I think he's almost there now, finally, thank God. Anyway, more enemy ships are popping up, and you can see my torpedoes are almost reloaded. About 10 seconds left on the reload there, so this is a perfect time to start sizing up targets, seeing which ones are more or less going in a straight line, and that you'd have the best chance of actually hitting as well. So looking at the targets that are available to me, obviously cruisers are harder to hit than, say, a battleship, for example. The battleships are a bit of a, sorry, the cruisers are a struggle to hit, because once they see your torpedoes, most of the time they can get out of the way. Unfortunately, like my ally there off to the port side, he couldn't do it. So he's gone. I did get a nice torpedo hit on an enemy ship in the background. I'm not sure which ship I hit. Whether or not I could even see it, I don't know. But at least 1 torpedo hit for me, so that's not too bad. Taking a look again at the enemy ships, now that my torpedoes are reloaded, fire more off and wait for the third barrage here to reload before I can fire those as well. Sizing up the targets and kind of moving closer to Garrett here as well. Keep in mind, Garrett is in a Russian destroyer, so his primary armament is his guns. His torpedoes, don't have the range that mine do, so in this way, though, we're able to work together, and it makes it actually quite nice. You can see that we are firing at a Tier 6 Russian destroyer. He's over there. Wanted to get this guy gone, Garrett especially, because for Garrett, this was a big, I guess, threat. Just because, similar type of destroyer, and as well the guns on that destroyer. It's not necessarily that they do a whole bunch of damage when they hit you, it's just the fact that, you know, a lot of damage per minute and over time, and it's going to result in your death most likely. There's another nice shot of Garrett's awesome camouflage there on the old, I think it's his Tash Kent that he has, so that is cool. My torpedoes are now reloaded, so I'm turning back to line myself up again for more torpedoes on the enemy ships here. You'll see that the torpedoes that I did launch off, none of those actually hit anything, but whatever, area denial I should say, area denial while the torpedoes were in the water, so that's something. So cruising in, oh, there's a nice torpedo hit on a Cleveland, fantastic. Cruising in now, you can see as well we're grouped up with Door here, and Door obviously is the center of attention here for the enemies because this, you know, it's one of the ships that the enemies can see, and as well it's the closest ship to the enemies. The enemies don't, I mean they do know that myself and Garrett are here, but they don't know where we are because they can't see us, which is just so awesome about destroyers. So more enemy torpedoes on their way in, but luckily I'm able to avoid all of those without any concern, so that's not too bad at all. Garrett was able to avoid them as well, and I'm not sure if Door avoided them. I'll have to say no, because he's no longer living. So more enemy ships. You can see Garrett here off to the ports, or off to my bow, putting shots into any enemies that are over there, and he's taking a lot of incoming fire right now because he is firing his guns, and obviously he's being seen right now. Luckily, with the camouflage that you receive at rank 1, not only does it do 100% extra experience earned in a battle, but I believe it's also minus 4% to the enemy accuracy, so that is nice. There goes another enemy ship, so that's not too bad. We are even in terms of ships sunk right now, so not too shabby at all. And then we did manage just there to sink another enemy ship, which actually put us in the lead for point, or rather tied us up for points, so that is not too bad at all either. Torpedoes are reloaded, looking around to see what I can see and what I can fire off at, so 2 more rounds go off out there. I've got my 3rd torpedo round almost reloaded now, so just sizing up another target. Excuse me. All the while as well, you know, keeping in mind that I do have allies around me, and I really don't want to torpedo any of my allies, so, you know, always be careful when you are firing torpedoes. You do not want to hit any of your allies. If you do, it is solely your fault. Unfortunately, my ally Cleveland died right next to me, so that kind of sucks. And now over here on the west side, it's myself and Garrett and 2 other ships. Looking at the mini-map, you will notice that my allies did manage to push all the way to the south from the east side. So it looks like right now that they're going to be able to put a lot of pressure on the enemy base and have some of these ships start turning around to deal with them, which will open up a spot or room for Garrett and I to maneuver in closer to the enemy base. I've got a Nagato off there in the distance, and that was the guy I was shooting at, and I do manage to hit him with 2 torpedoes, so that is not too bad. He did see the torpedoes and was able to avoid getting hit by any more than those 2, which is sort of unfortunate because obviously if he would have hit 2 more torpedoes, I'm pretty sure he would have died. There is a Warspite out there as well, and I've been trying to torpedo that Warspite for quite some time. Every time I go for it, though, he always avoids them. So Garrett just passed in front of me, and you can see he's taking a lot of incoming fire, so I have popped my smoke in an attempt to help Garrett conceal himself a little quicker and mitigate any damage that he might be taking from the enemy ships. While my torpedoes are reloading, again, just sizing up targets, right? Looking at lead indicators to see where these targets are going and what I might be able to do to hit them. So I do have an enemy, and I did fire 1 spread at that guy. That was the one that I had reloaded, yeah, my other 2 are now reloading. You can see as well that the Nagato in the background took some big hits from some of my allies, so he is almost gone. In fact, right now he's in a slight repair. I really wanted to get that guy gone, but I wasn't willing to fire my guns and expose myself to these enemies out here. You'll notice that there is still the Tier 6 Russian destroyer out there, and as well there is a Tier 6 Japanese destroyer out there, the Mitsuki. So there are 2 of these destroyers out there that we do still need to be aware of. they can make your day incredibly bad, especially if they happen to spot you and you're not aware of it, or your torpedoes are reloading and you can't do anything about it. Yeah, your day can go really sour really quick. Moving back into the smoke that I had set earlier, I wasn't concerned about getting spotted or anything. My only concern was the destroyers, how close they were. Last time I saw the Tier 6 Russian destroyer, he was on his way out, but I have not seen the Mitsuki as of yet. So that's sort of why I just briefly went into the smoke there to make sure that if he was around, then maybe he wouldn't be able to spot me. There's the Tier 6 Russian destroyer once again. And again, this was the focus of attention for Garrett and myself. We both wanted to get this guy gone. Myself being in a Fubuki, I was pretty afraid of this guy, to be frank, because, as you know, the Japanese destroyers, are not known for gunnery. The guns on this thing, I do enjoy the guns. I mean, when I hit and land on a target, they do a significant amount of damage. It's just simply, that I have very few guns on the ship itself, which makes it very hard to actually kill someone with your guns, or take them from full health and bring them all the way down to no health and sink them with your guns alone on a Japanese destroyer. When you're talking about fighting other destroyers in these Japanese destroyers, it's a little different, because obviously enemy destroyers or other destroyers don't have that much armor or hit points, so you could probably actually gun them down. But any other ship than that, it's a definite no, and frankly, even with enemy destroyers, it is iffy. There is the Mitsuki, so we know that he's over there. We also see the Tier 6 Russian destroyer, so we know that he's back there as well. So that is great, because that means that they're not really close into us trying to hunt us down. They're more or less repositioning at this time, if not hiding. Definitely the Mitsuki is hiding. You'll see what I mean later in the battle. So as the battle is progressing here as well, we can take a look at the minimap, and we'll notice that unfortunately the Allied push we had on the east side is more or less done now. All those ships have passed away except one. There is only one Allied ship down there now, and it's not looking good, right? So at this point in time, looking at the minimap like that, and looking at how much time is left on the counter as well, and my position on the west side here, I know that, alright, I have to start capping the enemy base, at least making motions towards the enemy base to get myself into a position to start capping it. Obviously there are going to be some enemy ships between it and myself, so I'm going to have to deal with these enemy ships as they appear and hope to God that I don't get sunk. Because frankly, at this point in time, I mean, I do still have allies over here on the west side with Garrett and I, but for the most part, Garrett and I are going to be the most aggressive people on this side, and are going to be the two ships that actually get into the enemy cap to deal with it. While we're moving into position here, you can see I'm more or less getting myself positioned to go straight into the enemy cap. I do put some shots into that enemy Tier 6 Russian destroyer. He's within the range. I wasn't so concerned about receiving incoming fire, because the majority of the ships that are enemy ships that are remaining are battleships, and they're quite far away. So I'm feeling confident that I'll be able to avoid their shots if need be. So put a round of torpedoes into a New Mexico off in the distance, hoping that those are going to hit him. In the meantime, checking out the Tier 6 Russian destroyer once again, just to see what he's saying, and he is now out of my range as well, so I'm not going to be able to put any fire into him. I do start taking fire from the Russian destroyer, but luckily I've got this island here, so this island breaks line of sight for me, and I know that now I'm no longer detected. Keep in mind, my Fubuki captain is not fully retrained, and that is why you do not see my detection ability going on and off. The New Mexico, yes, so my torpedoes had missed him. And there he is there, and he's not really being that much of a pain, but he's behind this island, and I need to try and line up on him to get him gone. Whether or not he knows I'm here, I'm not 100% sure, because he is behind an island, and he wouldn't be able to see through the island, so, probably he doesn't see me, but luckily I'm able to set up a nice ambush. So I send 2 salvos of torpedoes in between those 2 islands. The hope here obviously is that when the New Mexico comes around the island, my torpedoes will be in play to take him out immediately. He wouldn't even have time to maneuver, and that's my hope, right? So those torpedoes are going out. I'm taking a look at the New Mexico, watching his lead indicator here as well on my torpedoes, and thinking to myself, yeah, I don't want to chance it, so I'm going to fire another round of torpedoes at the New Mexico just for good measure. As I get those torpedoes off, the Tier 6 Russian destroyer appears, so okay, we are now in a gunnery fight with this guy. My torpedoes in the meantime hit the New Mexico and sunk him, so that is fantastic. He's gone, don't have to worry about him. Put some more shots into the Tier 6 Russian destroyer and take him out. Fantastic. There is a double kill for myself as well now, so that is not too shabby at all. Taking a look at what enemy ships the team has remaining, there is only the aircraft carrier, which is a Shuikaku, and they still have that Mitsuki. So this is what I mean by the Mitsuki was hiding. I don't see, or well, I don't notice the Mitsuki again. Right, we saw him those few times over there in the west. I never saw him again. I assume that he's hiding. I'm not 100% sure what in fact he's doing. Main point here is though that I am now able to cap the enemy base, so fantastic. Garrett and myself are in here and we are capping. The enemy aircraft carrier is within my torpedo range, so I launch off torpedoes at him, hoping that those are going to hit as well. Unfortunately, not to spoil it, but unfortunately the Shuikaku was changing up his speed a little, so those torpedoes that I just launched, all of them, even this salvo here, are going to miss him. I didn't account for the fact that he wasn't going at full speed. I just assumed he was, right? But in fact he was not. So those torpedoes are out, but they're not actually going to do a whole lot. In the meantime, I am working my way closer to the enemy aircraft carrier because he's coming within my gun range. You can see that Garrett is over there shooting at the enemy aircraft carrier as well, bringing him down to below half health, so that is fantastic. And as well at this point, you want to keep in mind, I mean, it is an enemy aircraft carrier, so he does have dive bombers. We can see them on their way in. We want to keep in mind that, you know, obviously this guy's going to be trying to do damage to us to make sure that we don't cap his base. But luckily, he only focuses on Garrett. He doesn't even focus on myself, so all of my cap points remain as they are. Now you can see the torpedoes that I had launched off, they are all missing, yep. Like I said, and it is because he wasn't going at full speed when I had launched them at the indicator. Luckily though, Garrett continues to put shots into him and continues to bring this guy down to, you know, almost death at this point. So I start lining up my guns on him because now he's within my range. So the first salvo was ranging, obviously, hit him with a few but didn't do a whole lot of damage, so just need to lead the target a little more here, and then that salvo should be able to go in there and hit him and do some damage. So that is great. Got him, got my range, put another shot into him, and hopefully this last salvo here will finish this guy off. Then we will just have the Mitsuki. So there we go, enemy Shurikaku is gone, that's my third kill, base is now capped, and we have won. Fantastic. So that was a great game that we had actually last night. The three of us really fought it out, and it was nice to see as well just the way that we were able to recover from the initial push on the east and how that stalled out and failed. It's not very often that you'll see yourself actually recover from a situation like that, because 9 times out of 10, once the enemy realizes that they just destroyed your entire push on one of the flanks, they'll just go ahead and cruise straight up that flank and into your base. Anyway, that is today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy it. As always, leave any comments you have for me. Love reading those comments, responding back to them. Hit the old like button as well if you'd like the video today. And if you are not a subscriber, please do hit subscribe as well. As always, folks, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.